We got the Black Hallmark Christmas movie we've been asking for, because white people can't have all the fun. It's almost Christmas, and Layla's about to go back to New York to spend the holidays with her boyfriend Tanner. Unfortunately, the flights get delayed, and she's put on the standby list. Luckily though, she has lounge access and gotta stay there from AM to PM. While enjoying the buffet, she meets a man who agrees to let her have the last quiche on the tray. He even puts some sriracha on top for Layla. Stuck waiting with the other guests, Layla meets another man named James who just can't wait to spend Christmas with his nephew. It's like the world trying to tempt our girl with these foreign-ass men. In the middle of the conversation, Layla spots a ramekin in her bag, which she thinks belongs to the guy she met earlier. She and James hit it off, and Layla even introduces her favorite singers, the Pentatonix, to James and says that she and her boyfriend attend their concert every Christmas. However, James has to board his flight and leave Layla. Before he goes, he reveals he felt the connection between them, but Layla insists that she ain't a hoe. Still, James explains that if they happen to be single next year's Christmas Eve and meet in a Pentatonix concert, then it's fate. 1 year later, Layla is still doing great at her job. She goes home early to surprise Tanner and catches him with another woman being a man whore. So she breaks up with him and kicks him out, tossing spaghetti all over his nasty ass. It's just Layla against the world now. As she confides in her best friend Roxy, she remembers James, whom she met at the airport the prior year. She thinks it might be fate to meet him at a Pentatonix concert, so she starts to look to see if there's still any available tickets. She couldn't get one before because Tanner decided to see Macklemore that year instead. Girl, that was a red flag. When Layla sees James's photo on the Pentatonix site, she thinks it's a sign from the universe. Unfortunately, all tickets are sold out, and anything available is very expensive. So Roxy advises Layla to use Impromptu, a concierge service that can get her anything. Meanwhile, Teddy, who works at Impromptu, gets a scolding from his boss about his bad client reviews. She tells him to get their new client a Pentatonix concert ticket and get a good review so he can keep his job. Teddy sees Layla and thinks she looks familiar, but he doesn't know where he met her before. It's only 2 days before Christmas, and Layla is running out of time. No ticket is available at any popular ticket seller sites, and even when Teddy checks their database, tickets are all sold out. We already know where this is going. Teddy assures Layla he can get her one from a guy he knows, so she insists on accompanying him. She mentions the ticket offered to her online, but Teddy already finds it suspicious. He knows all the licensed ticket brokers available, and the man Layla mentioned just doesn't seem legit to him. Layla insists they see the man she contacted on Craigslist since the meetup place is nearby. Meanwhile, even the Pentatonix members can't get any extra tickets for their friends or family because it's a sold-out show. Their manager, Becca, reads Teddy's message on the group's DM, but has nothing to offer him. Layla is positive about the meetup no matter what Teddy says. She even opened up to Davey when they talked on the phone earlier. However, Layla is surprised when Davey changes the initial agreed ticket price to $800. She doesn't want to lose her chance, so despite Teddy's warnings, she gives Davey $500 plus her necklace. Teddy discovers the ticket is from last year, so he stops Davey from leaving. Instead of Davey, Layla accidentally pepper sprays Teddy, and the culprit gets away. Becca and the Pentatonix members know everything that is happening because Teddy DMs them everything in the hope of getting a ticket. Layla tells Teddy that James is her person, so she has to go to meet him at the concert no matter what. So after putting remedy in Teddy's eyes, he and Layla head out again to meet a guy named Javier, who offered to sell them a ticket. They meet Javier and his girl, who suspiciously look like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. After hearing the story, Javier's girlfriend even gives a red dress to Layla, something for her to wear on Christmas Eve. It turns out they have to pick up a Chanel bag for Javier if they want to get his ticket. Oh, hell no, this sussy. On their way to the store, Layla discovers that Teddy is a great cook after she tastes the granola he made. Granola? Is Teddy white? The Chanel Sugar Plum bag is a limited edition, so they have to wait in line to get inside the store. Layla keeps seeing signs telling her that she and James are meant to be. While waiting, a woman enters the store and demands to be accommodated first. Teddy butts in to defend the clerk and tells the woman to wait for her turn. The white Karen says she don't talk to youth pastors. Instead of calling the cops, she makes a weird squirm noise and gets back in line. Layla sees that the sales clerk appreciated the gesture, so she convinces Teddy to ask for her number. While Teddy makes a move on the clerk, Layla talks to a man who wants to buy the same bag for his sick wife. So when Teddy returns, saying that the clerk will hand them the remaining bag, Layla has decided to give it to the man. Girl, his sick wife finna die. Just grab the literal bag. When the customers find out that the last bag is the one on display, they start to go crazy. Fugly Karen over here doing too much. The Pentatonix members read Teddy's messages, talking about Layla, and they start to think that Teddy is starting to develop feelings for her. On the other hand, Layla is starting to get discouraged. To lift her spirits, they take a ride to Roxy's house while talking about their favorite Pentatonix songs. Layla playfully slaps him. And it's cute AF. I want them to dip it low together. At Roxy's place, Roxy quickly realizes that Teddy is a good catch. Not only is he a nice guy, but he is also fit and is a good cook. It turns out he used to work at Alinea, a Michelin star restaurant. Layla is surprised because she celebrated her birthday at Alinea last spring when Teddy was still working there. He reveals that he left his job when his mother got sick. Then Teddy says his cousin, Jordy, has Pentatonix tickets, and all they have to do is come home and get them. So Teddy takes Layla to his house, only to discover that there's a catch to Jordy's offer. Teddy's mom, Angie, warmly receives Layla, so Teddy is quick to explain that Layla is his client. Jordy explains that the two have to lip-sync for their life and dance at the Snowball competition if they want to win the tickets. He participated in the show before, but got banned after Jordy slashed the winner's tire. So he wants to make it his mission to win this time through Teddy and Layla. Layla is worried if they can win against drag queens, but Jordy assures them he'll take care of everything. So they immediately start learning the choreography under Jordy's strict guidance. They keep practicing all night until they get the steps right. When it's time to prepare the creme brulee, Layla sees the ramekin and remembers that she and Teddy met at the airport lounge last year. They prepare the dessert, and Teddy teaches Layla what to do in the kitchen. Afterward, Layla tries to convince Teddy to have more confidence in himself and open up his own restaurant. Even Angie tells Teddy to stop worrying about her since she's no longer sick. The next day, they head to the competition where a bunch of drag queens lip-sync, and the pair start to worry if they can win the competition. A wannabe Leslie Jordan comes over to flaunt that Jordy is banned from competing. The white twink laughs at them. She and Teddy perform a very sexy version of Santa Baby, with Teddy wearing a Santa costume. They dance on stage in front of a very lively crowd before ending the performance with a kiss. They both get confused after making out on stage, but they convince each other that it's all part of the performance. In third place is Potato and Rice. The couple only gets second place. Giving the R&B star second place is a crime, while this Priyanka girl with the bad vocals gets first. The Pentatonix members find out that the two lost, but they don't have any backstage pass or ticket to give them. Becca tells them that one guest canceled, so they have one more ticket to give away. Even though they are aware that they shouldn't pick sides if they are Team James or Team Teddy, they decide to give the ticket to Layla so she can make her decision. Before Layla and Teddy can even talk about what happened on stage, Jordy tells them that Pentatonix has sent Layla a ticket. In exchange for the ticket, however, Teddy has to agree to play Santa on stage at the concert. Teddy doesn't want to perform, but Jordy reminds him that Layla is counting on him. While Roxy is helping Layla get ready for the concert, she senses that Layla is suddenly acting uncertain. While giving Teddy a review at the impromptu site, Layla keeps talking about how amazing he is. Meanwhile, Teddy gets splashed with water on his way to the concert venue. He thinks the night is ending so badly, but it gets better when he gets a backstage pass. He's over the moon when he meets the Pentatonix members, Kirsten, Mitch, Kevin, Matt, and Scott. Layla is still talking about Teddy and how loving his family is, but Roxy reminds her of James. Then Layla realizes that the universe is leading her to Teddy all this time and not to James. So she heads to the concert, thinking about confessing to him. After learning that Teddy feels something for Layla, Pentatonix decides to let him be part of the performance as Santa so he can confess to her later on stage. Teddy is confused why the group knows what's happening with him, so they admit that they read all of Teddy's DMs to their account and that they are rooting for him. At that time, James is already outside the concert venue waiting. When Layla arrives, she gets her ticket immediately. She bumps into James and apologizes to him, saying that she's in love with someone else and not him. James isn't able to say anything, but it turns out he already has a girlfriend. Yeah, with a fine man like that, I'd be surprised if he's single. The concert has already started, but Layla is still outside looking for Teddy. Meanwhile, Teddy is dressed as Santa Claus, preparing for his small act. When he sees how high the platform is, he refuses to get on top because of his fear of heights. Layla tries using her ticket as a backstage pass, but the bodyguard refuses to let her in. She shares her romantic love story, but he still refuses to let her pass. It's almost time for Teddy's small part, and Becca is doing her best to get him to move. Pentatonix expects Teddy to slide down the chimney on cue, so they are surprised when he's not there. They try to do the song one more time, and this time Teddy successfully does his part. Then Teddy removes his Santa costume and starts talking about what he feels for Layla. Teddy admits to falling in love with her after only knowing her for a few days, and Layla hears the confession, so she rushes to get inside the concert hall. Teddy starts to think that Layla is not coming up on stage, but she calls out his name and admits she feels the same. Teddy reveals that Layla made him want to trust in the universe and chase his dreams, and she confesses that Teddy is the one she wants. Layla kisses Teddy in front of everyone, and the crowd cheers for the new couple. Then Pentatonix calls the two on stage. James has seen everything, and he tells his girl that Layla was the woman he met at the airport. As the group performs their song and the crowd sings with them, Layla and Teddy start making out on stage, as if there's no one watching. What did y'all think of this one? I thought it was very cutesy and loved the ending and simplicity.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.